to a little bit of a special video. This is what I'm gonna probably just call uh, SK reviews, I guess. SK reviews. There you go. That sounds not generic at all, but pretty much the entire basis of this is I and Ben, because most of this has to be with a friend of mine. We watch a show together, and then as soon as we watch the entirety of said show, we will give our take on it in a somewhat meticulous manner. And when I say meticulous, it may not be as meticulous as hey dog. My dog actually sees the guy going into frame there because I guess they're walking so like normally. Let me see what happens if I turn off TV. Okay, at least okay, it's gone. The dog, it's okay. Anyway, we like when I say meticulously, it's probably not gonna be as meticulous as you probably may want, but hey, that's how we do things here on this channel. But anyway, Sonic X. We just watched the last episode of Sonic X last night, and most of this was just a treat to show Ben my childhood because Sonic X was the Saturday morning a cartoon episode thing I used to watch every morning, Saturday at 7:30 in the morning, and would watch it religiously for as many years as it was syndicated for. Originally on the Fox box,
All
and then
hail our Lord
eventually,
and Savior, Eggman.
and eventually it went from Fox box all the way to 4Kids TV, where it would eventually die off, I guess, and go into obscurity. And that's where we get majority the 2000s all the way to 2010s. Any image you would find generically of Sonic was always from Sonic X, and it really bothered me. It was Sonic X and Sonic Heroes. Those were like the most used and abused generic images that the Sonic series used to have at the time. And so
For
yeah,
obvious reasons.
You who were once so proud.
and so
Now
George
never return.
George is here to provide soundboard stuff whenever it's appropriate, and he will not take advantage of it. Explodes is here because he's here, and Ben is pretty much the main newcomer to this. He's seen a couple episodes in his time overseas, and I was pretty much his guide there. So we're gonna go season by season. We're not gonna spend too much time on. I would say like one episode. Like we're not gonna spend 30 minutes on one episode. If there's an episode that really stuck out to us, we're going to pretty much stay a little bit longer than others, etc., etc., etc. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to start with season 1. And I will say right off the bat, from a general term, I think season 1 is the second best season of Sonic X. I'll get into my number 1 personally a little later. This one pretty much just followed Sonic getting transported from his planet, which is never named, and then he goes into Chris's world. That is literally what they call it, Chris's world, planet Earth. And essentially it's the fish out of water thing, where all the humans don't know who Sonic and Friends are, and then eventually it ends with everybody knowing who Sonic and Friends are, and they become low-key celebrities and such. So episode 1 was Chaos Control Freaks. That essentially is the pinning episode of everything. That was just Sonic being transported to Earth. And then he has that speed racer thing with the super fast guy Sam Speed, where he completely dusts him.
Couldn't cut it.
Yeah, the police couldn't do it. So
So
yeah,
they got the speed freak.
yeah, they got the speed freak. Oh, my dog's now looking at the laptop. He's looking at the laptop, starting to growl there. Like, come on, dog, it's okay.
I double dog dare you, laptop. I double dog dare you.
So episode 1 is pretty much the start of everything. It's pretty standard. I would say, I think in terms of just looking through these episodes and such, I'll give my review on it on the first season, and I'll hand it over to you, Ben. And if Explodes has anything, he'll probably say something like a random word like chicken, and then we'll move on. Season 1 had Chaos Control Freaks. That was the first one. Sonic to the Rescue, which I believe was the one where he rescues Cream with his not Dragon Ball Scouter. Missile Rampage, Chaos Emerald Chaos, Cracking Knuckles, which I believe was the episode where they introduced Knuckles and he gets tricked by Eggman. The Techno Teacher.
Again.
Yeah, the Techno Teacher. That was a stupid episode. Really pointless.
It's a fun, stupid episode.
The Satellite Swindle, where I think that's when Eggman hijacked the satellite waves. The Last Resort, where Chris was like, my parents used to come here all the time, but now they no longer do. And now I'm lonely with all my money and the friends I have at school. and the people that my parents pay, and they're so, like totally nice to me. I have it bad. Unfair Ball, which was the baseball episode. I think that was like a dumb fun episode. Meteor Madness, I forget what that one was. Fast Friends, The Damn Scan. That's what friends are for. Skirmish in the Sky, Lights, Camera, Action. The Adventures of Knuckles and Hawk. that guy. Don't know why they gave him an entire episode.
You can't call him that guy.
Sonic Scream Test, Cruise Blues, Fast Friends, A Wild Win, A Wild Chase, A Wild Ride, A Wild Victory, and A Wild Conclusion, which A Wild Conclusion ended with Supersonic versus the Egg Terminator. So I'm going to give my quick thoughts on season 1 just as a whole. I will say I going back to the series as a 30-year-old man, I will say it holds up pretty darn good. I used to think that the humor was pretty cringe. But I want to say there's more hits in like a traditional sense, not like in the whole meta sense, like with Sonic Boom. But I think that the jokes hit more on Sonic X's humor than they would come off as try hard or very childish. Trust me, there's still childish stuff in it. It's just they're not nearly as frequent as I remember. And season 1 did a lot of good things where they built the characters right. I don't know why they made Sonic so afraid of water. It seemed like an unnecessary character flaw to add, considering. But
And he dropped all his balls.
yeah, dropped all his morals whenever that happens. And so the biggest thing that I obviously take away from when I watched season 1 with Ben is that, man, Chris still is a very, very, very divisive character. And I said a little bit of what about the whole last resort thing. He is literally a rich boy. I said this when we were watching it. Imagine if Sonic landed in the house of the crippled girl. I'm sorry, not the crippled girl, the girl with the wheelchair. Imagine if he landed there instead. How different the series would have been, because they would not have access to all that money, have access to all that status and flair. And then when you put that with Chris, it's like Chris is this obnoxious kid that just has everything. And then he acts as if he is some type of middle income kid who hardly gets any time because his parents are always working. That is what the wheelchair kid had. And that would have been a lot more interesting. But I guess they really just wanted to hand wave where they got the money for all this stuff here. Other than that, the only thing that really comes to mind is they got Knuckles shovel claws for some reason from the games. That was a interesting touch. And yeah, I would say as my conclusion to this before I hand it over to Ben, Sonic X Season 1 was decent, I would say. Not the best story they've ever done with Sonic as a whole when it comes to the animation wise, but it was better than I remember it being, just a little bit more. Anyway, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead and say your piece on Season 1 here. Oh no.
Well, to premise, like Mark was saying, my first introduction to this was when I was living overseas. I lived for 7 years in the country of Qatar, Qatar. Wonderful place, moved after 9/11, so, we all thought my parents were insane. Anyways, of the few English channels we had there, one of them was Jetix, which was, I guess, a subsection of Fox Kids, because we also got 90s Spider-Man. Great show, by the way. Anywho, first of all, to you people that are in the West that watch this show, you may know the Gotta Go Faster theme for both its opening and ending. I was not so fortunate. I only got that as the ending, because the version that aired over there was the European version, and the European version is, admittedly, when putting it, at least as a 30-plus-year-old man, putting them side by side, the original sounds a little better. It's more easier on the ears. The European version sounds like it was trying to be something like Digimon, like the first 2 Digimons. A bit more kind of edgy and radical, kind of. Although, to be fair, the original Sonic X opening sounds a lot like a Go-Go Power Rangers, because there are so many goes. Like, so many goes. It just goes and goes on and on. Anyways. As for the show, for the moments when I was not in a immediate passing out coma because I saw some of these late at night after work, yeah, it was my introduction to the show at a young age, and that's how I knew about any of these characters. Although I saw very, very sparse episodes. I don't think I got to season 3 as far as my youth was concerned overseas, but I do remember the very first episode, and I remember the episode of a few with Rouge and with Knuckles getting the shovel claws. And honestly, as a kid, it seems very basic. In trying to understand what it's like to be like Chris, here's the thing. He may seem unbearable, but here's the thing. We're seeing him as an adult. I mean, you said it's like, yeah, I saw him as unbearable even as like a, preteen and teenager. Well, yeah, but that's the thing. The show is aimed at kids. In other words, kids that are snotty, obnoxious, the world is for them, Not everyone can be humble or in a wheelchair. But honestly, yeah, I didn't realize until later because I am not that well read into Sonic lore as much, but thank the SK channel here for otherwise educating me properly. The school system are failing us. Better yet, you're passionate nerd. Thank you, Rico. Oh no, we lost Private. Oh, now Private's back.
Private's back.
Moving on. So yeah, I didn't, as far as I can remember from the seasons from what we watched. Yeah, season 1 is just a nice, introduce all the characters. Let's get all the attitudes. Let's get all the characters and all the voices we need to. Very, very stellar voice acting throughout all of it. And I recognize a lot of these voice actors from other anime that has been English dubbed. It took me a while to realize that the speed guy from the first episode, who becomes recurring through seasons 1 and 2, is actually the main character of one of my other favorite animes that also involves a guy wearing red that likes to go high speeds. No, it's not Akira. And then season 2, I was very much educated into the game in which the main plot was based off of, and watching them side by side along with what they were showing in season 2, it actually made me realize, okay, so it's actually fairly faithful. I mean, we're still on Earth and everything. I don't know how that premise of the game worked with that. It's like, wait, is it still on Earth, or is this like some sort of big high skyscraper city that the furries made? Which is it? Anywho, I'm gonna be saying that a lot, I guess. Anywho. So, and then season 3. By the end of season 2, I couldn't help but not only sympathize, but exacerbate the dear host channel's thoughts on the fact that this main protagonist, this Kingdom Hearts main character looking fella, was just an insufferable ass. And honestly, I will not give him the actions at the end of season 2. He does consequences that were implied basically make him out to be just kind of one of the worst protagonists ever. Considering all they've been through and all that happened, it's like, really? Kid's so lonely, he was willing to pull something like that for...
That's season 2. We'll get to that when we get to season 2.
I tell you.
We'll get to that when we get to season 2.
I'm just giving my basic little overview there. And then season 3, just as my little preview for that, honestly, very enjoyable. But yeah, as for season 1, I will bounce off of the idea for the humor and the writing. I will say I do like it. And for the most part, they're not too overbearing on what they try to do. It's very, very simplistic because it's made for kids. So obviously you're going to have super smart talk literally be dumbed down and often repeated. The stakes have to be... repeated a whole bunch of times saying, oh no, we need to do this, or this won't happen, or this is going to be the end. The Chaos Emeralds. And I do appreciate it from that, because sometimes I am a dum-dum that does not chew gum-gum, but I do appreciate more than anything else throughout the seasons kind of a consistent bit in how they do their barbs and their zingers and their one-liners. They use a lot of alliterations. Well, look at that. It's a booby trap and it caught a booby or something like that. Yes, that is from the show, by the way. I'm a sucker for alliterations and I'm a sucker for puns. And they use that aplenty. And it fits really well based on where Sonic has been coming from. And I say it fits very well. No meta jokes, none at all. It's not like later Sonic shows where they wink at the camera, breaking the fourth wall. It's very grounded for the most part. Although I will say in it for one character, as far as music cues go, the one that will stand out to anyone watching this is the extravagant use of the saxophone when a particular bat comes on screen. In fact, anytime she comes on and it's not playing, it's like, wait a second. And that's what I'll say. Fairly enjoyable. As for
I
my rating on where it places with the other one, I really can't say, but I'll say it's. I'll honestly say it's the third place for me.
really interesting. So it's the least enjoyable one that you've seen out of the 3 seasons. Okay.
Serious. Plus,
By the way,
uh,
Ben. By the way, Ben, you are having the same
this is
issue. You're having the
actually-
same issue as last on Sunday. I see the little blip showing up, and then eventually you start talking.
Well, I know for a fact I am not plugged in, and I'm just sitting here.
We didn't
I
really
was
have
about
that
to-
problem
Wow.
before. We didn't have that problem before in previous
I was gonna
setups.
say I thought it was me like not having trouble hearing Ben, but I think it's happening again like the last time.
No. Anyway, so explodes. Your thoughts quickly on season 1.
It's funny. It focused on Eggman being a pants and occasionally a couple of twists, like the mayor's assistant getting out of a job because I don't know, it was the president's assistant, the vice president.
Oh yeah, he went homeless.
Yeah, and it was wackier because it was just easing us into it all. And then giant robot with the Chaos Emeralds.
Oh yeah, the egg exterminator. Yeah, I remember that.
It grew a personality and then died.
It's okay because he murdered a robot, and not an actual flesh and blood being. So, whoops! Looks at season 3. Anyway, but yeah, okay. So that was season 3. That was season 1. I will kind of wrap up that little discussion there and just be like, yeah, season 1 was pretty solid. I would say. I'm surprised Ben gave it the last one, but there's not really much more. I have a specific set of things I care about in the show, and a lot of it has to do are the characters likable? Do I jive with what they're doing? And is it good enough to keep my attention for very long? If you get a lot of that, you can pretty much get my attention for everything. Anyway, so moving on, season 2. I don't really need to read off the list. Season 2, the major beats of that one was where they just kind of shoehorned Perfect Chaos, the whole Sonic Adventure plotline, and then they weave that into the Sonic Adventure 2 plotline with Shadow the Hedgehog and Maria. And then it ended with, and then the little mini arc was Emerald, because they find Emerald because Sonic Battle was relevant during that time. And they have the little mini Dragon Ball, OG Dragon Ball tournament, where it's not taken at all seriously from a narrative standpoint. And then Emerald just, they kill off Emerald. they flat out just kill him after, I think the writers are like, so they want Emerald to do what again? And they just flat out killed him. So there's that, and then we have the most infamous part of the season 2, which is Chris kidnaps Sonic and Sonic lets him. That is literally what the end of the season 2 goes off on, and I will kind of check mark things as they go along to kind of make things easier. But so to wrap all the way back, Sonic Adventure, the anime quote unquote adaptation of it. For those who have played the game, it's essentially water. Eggman finds a water god. He forms, I guess, a mutual alliance. I'll give you the Chaos Emeralds. You work for me, and you become my monster of the week. And Sonic and friends have to go beat him before he does. And of course, as any good, climactic shonen would do, that the bad guy's going to get what he wants, and the good guys have to fight the overwhelming power at full power, and the power of friendship wins in the end. Now, with Sonic Adventure being represented in the anime, everything felt so rushed. It felt extremely rushed, like they were trying to checkmark all the major moments that the game had without any of the pacing that would make things feel comfortable, if I could say if I could say it in the most general way possible, things just start happening. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, we got to do that. Oh, we got to go do this. We got to do that. And it's like, give us time to breathe. It could have used a couple more episodes, I would say, if they wanted to do it right. But they clearly were trying to do the opposite of what the anime of Phoenix Wright did, and try to get every major moment without skimping on it. But it still felt really, really cheap and also forced. So my enjoyment of that little mini or that somewhat minor arc, because the season shared between like 3 major events, was kind of the weakest one in my opinion. Shadows was a lot better, and not by much, but it also suffered from the same thing where they had to check mark all these major things that happened in Sonic Adventure 2's game. Shadow, I think this was the first time the actor was voicing Shadow, because this is the second Shadow voice that was given to him at the time, and it's just the voice of Sonic. So I don't think he got the inflection quite right yet to separate himself. I think by the time Shadow's standalone game happened, he actually had his own like dedicated voice that sounded really different to Sonic. But with that little minor difference aside, yeah, who are you and how do you know my name? It was fine, but not necessarily. It's not Sonic 3 the movie. I'll tell you that much. and it felt kind of flat. They killed Shadow off seemingly as one would do. A little fun fact: the Japanese version of Sonic, Super Sonic, and Shadow going up against the Bio Lizard, they actually use Live and Learn, which is a darn shame that they didn't put that into the English dub. But I can kind of see why, because licensing, but they weren't paying them anyway during the time. So anyway, those 2 stories, I kind of just, if I were to go back to Sonic X, I would just flat out ignore those. And then they have the little mini arc with the World Tournament, which was kind of a nothing burger, honestly. They made the president look stupid, which is more points for me, I guess. It was
Not hard to do, admittedly.
Yeah, and then Sonic leaves during the tournament, which was an interesting call. I guess they didn't want Sonic beating up on a woman, so he just let Amy get it with Eggman as an excuse. And I forgot who won the tournament. Who ended up winning the tournament, actually? It was technically Emerald. Yeah, Emerald technically won the tournament. And then that's when he went evil. And it's never really explained very well. There's just like, oh, the ancient technology interacting with the Chaos Emerald is making him go screwy. It was not. It's almost like you could get rid of Emerald and nothing would change. They didn't even bring Emerald to season 3. So it's not like they had any form of payoff that you can kind of glean from. So that being said, the biggest thing that I remember season 2 for is the finale of it, which was the finale for both. Was supposed to be the actual finale, which, according to some science BS, Sonic's world and the world that they're on are kind of like in parallel. And if they end up not sending Sonic and his friends back, the entire, I guess, both planets would stop time, essentially. Like, they were very vague about it. It was like time would not people would still live, but there would be no tomorrow. So I'm kind of like, so what's the problem? Do we have a Groundhog Day? Do we have do people remember, or is it going to be like everyone doesn't remember, so we're going to have like an infinite one day and no one can stop it? Is this going to be like the world will end and people will be stuck in suspended animation? They never explain it, and I'm sort of at a loss with that. But with that inconvenient detail out of the way, the fact that they gave Chris the balls to go ahead and sabotage the planet by kidnapping Sonic and going on the run with him. Even after Eggman, who I would say the first time Eggman ever sounded the most responsible man in the room, told Chris, hey man, you're going to end up saying goodbye to Sonic forever. You need to get past your emotions and grow up, because if you don't, we're all hosed. And Chris is like, lol, nope, I'm just going to go and
Eggman being real, and not for the first time in this show.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like Chris jeopardizes the entire planet just to go hang out with Sonic. And then he has this one scene with Sonic where he's like, So you just used me. You were just like feeling bad for me. That's why you stick around with me. And Sonic's like, no, you were nice to me. I was nice back. So I figured I'd stay. And it has nothing to do with it. No, you're just lying to me. I'm like, Chris, the award for the most tone deaf character in the entire series goes to you, my friend. You are just so entitled and so emotional that I'm honestly surprised Sonic had the patience to deal with you. So, yeah, the whole thing
I
with
mean, he has
Chris,
Amy to put up with.
I guess that would train you in staying, staying, calm and collected. Oh no, we lost Ben. Oh, there's Ben. But yeah, so like the whole deal with that final episode, it made not just me, but it made a lot of mainstream Sonic fans hate Chris. Like Chris it was so obnoxious beforehand, and they just dialed it up to so much. It's like, no, I don't want to lose you, dude. You have the token black guy and the token white girl with you as friends at school. You can literally invite them at any time you want, and you act as if you don't have real friends. You have Ella and you have Tanaka and your grandfather that talk to you all the time. What type of life are you telling me that you don't have? So yeah, season 2 lowest point for me because the game adaptations were just so rushed. The tournament felt underbaked, and then that final thing with Chris. Yeah, Sonic does go back home, but it isn't until Chris ends up essentially punching himself in the face and realizes just how stupid he's been. And despite him quote unquote learning, it didn't feel like I didn't feel happy about it. I didn't feel like, oh, okay, all is forgiven. so that's where I come from, and I give season 2 like the uh least respect out of the 3 seasons that ever came out. It's awful. I will say that right now. I think season 2 of Sonic X pretty darn awful. Anyway, go ahead, Ben.
I'll try to keep mine a little brief in case I start fitzing out again.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that tournament arc was a whole lot of nothing. It's like this felt way too Dragon Ball Z, not normal Dragon Ball, too Dragon Ball Z esque. Stakes and everything, but it just drags on. For me not having to play the games, I did enjoy the chaos and shadow bits, but very much like you said, and having looked at them side by side, it felt like just the cutscenes without the gameplay, and that's why it kind of felt a little bit jarring. It's like, so do we have any actual progression, or we just have A, B, C, D, and that's it? But for the most part, Shadow is refreshing in this show, just because he's not Knuckles, and he's certainly not a Sonic, so it's a different dynamic.
Mm.
And by the end of it, I will say about the one thing that does save it, apart from, the plot kicking into Chris and having to save multiverses, again, timey-wimey stuff happening, is Eggman being real with him and just finally saying, look, kid, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it for you. So, yeah, we're all effed. And trust me, kid, I'm a genius, and I'm telling you there's no way we can fix this. I do like Eggman's idea of villainy. It's very much Doofenshmirtz, like modern day stuff. The idea of the old classic villain, not like the gritty type of, oh, I must kill you because I am evil. It's like, no. See, he enjoys the game. And that's what classic villains are about. It's all about the game. It's like Joker and Batman almost. Except one's a mechanical genius and the other is, yeah. It was nice seeing Sonic and Friends going up against Godzilla, essentially.
A water
And,
Godzilla, essentially.
Yeah, and then by the end of it, like everything does fix. Although that will transpire in the third season, it doesn't entirely justify a whole lot because honestly, it did feel like even though Chris did finally give up and say goodbye, that he just never really let go. And so the next season, when we get into it, is just like, okay, here's like the real resolution we all needed with something completely original. Yeah, that's mostly it.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, a lot shorter of a review on that end. Okay. Explodes.
I have a lot more for season 3.
But it didn't hit as hard. It wasn't as memorable. What I did see, And the ending, I actually understand where he's coming from, but like ever since Sonic came there, everything's fixed. It's not gonna go away now that he's leaving. Everyone cares about you now. Get over it.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, okay, I guess moving on to season 3, the final season. Season 3, I'm gonna just tell you right now, right here, right now, best season in the entire Sonic X list of seasons. The fact that they went to space, not surprising. This is not the first time Sonic's ever been to space in a setting at all. Like,
Approved.
yeah, exactly. Sonic's been in space multiple times, as early as Sonic 2. And even though that he was just above the planet, that means he was still in space. But I feel this is probably the most mature, and I'm saying that knowing what we watch, but it feels like the most mature themed and intoned season of the show, mainly because there's a lot of death here. As opposed to season 1 and 2, there is a lot of death. There's a lot of implied death. There is a lot of dark toned areas and locations that kind of heavily imply screwed up things happen. And there's a lot more stakes involved with characters if they were to lose, or if they were to essentially, if they lose, and that's it. There is no coming back. There is no backup plan. There is just death and destruction waiting for them on the other end. And that goes as far as the first episode of the season, where they legit just say, "Oh man, Supersonic is fighting this guy," and Supersonic isn't the problem solver here. He is actually losing. How does Supersonic lose? So like, Sonic pulls a Black Star Dragon Ball moment and scatters the Chaos Emeralds across space, so that way Dark Oak doesn't get him. And I guess in the process, he heavily injures Dark Oak, which is why Dark Oak doesn't actually chase Sonic when he powers down. So I guess that was a good reason for it. But to kick off the entire thing, where Cosmo lands on Sonic's planet, asks him for his help, which kickstarts the journey of going planet hopping to go save the universe from having other planets lose their planet eggs, which is essentially the life force of each planet for some reason. And also to reclaim the Chaos Emerald so that they could use it to stop the Metarex, who are this unique bad guy type. That Ben, I remember hearing Ben was like, "Oh, it's okay that they killed them. They're just robots. They just get manufactured." And I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah, about that.
and so like they had the whole thing that they made you think that these were just mindless robots that were just hell bent on destruction.
Well,
And
some of them are. I mean, some of them are, and that's what honestly threw me for the loop. By the end, it's like, wait, what?
yeah, so the main I guess draw of this season, it was just, of course, they brought Shadow back. Shadow was questionable. How did he manage to make his way there, even though technically he was already on Earth for 50 years? And did Eggman just pull a reverse Uno card and yoink him with him before he left? It's never explained. Shadow joins up with Eggman, and then Eggman's like, "I will tell you your past if you help me." He never does this. He never does this. And Shadow it was kind of like a poor excuse for them to have Shadow be on Team Eggman, so that way they could have at least someone credible that could face off against Sonic. This also had so in season 2 they did introduce the Chaotix, but the Chaotix make semi-frequent appearances. One that's completely a nothing burger as well, where Team Sonic just loses all their brain cells for that one episode and just attack Victor and his crew in various, admittedly, humiliating and hilarious ways if you just don't think about it. and this confirms the shipping between Victor the Crocodile and Cream's mom for some reason. I don't know why they thought that was a thing they could do, but there's that. And then also we have was it the Metarex? I spoke about them earlier. They are the current bad of this saga original, which also plays into the fact that this season is all original, and they are essentially Eggman's forces if they don't mess around. And I know some probably do, and you're quick to go ahead and jump on that explodes, but like these guys are there to kill Sonic and friends. They're not there to laugh at him and be like, "Ha ha ha! I'll let you go now, unless we could do this again." No, these guys are actually kind of on the border of traditional anime villains, where they're there to kill you. And then we got the return of Chris Thorndike, which everything bad I said about Chris in the final episodes of season 2, he gets redeemed here. I want to say because due to how much more matured he is as a character, he is way more impactful. He steps in, and I would say 9 times out of 10, he throws himself into situations that he feels prepared enough for, instead of just being like, "I'll charge in and hope for the best." And if the best isn't good enough, I'll just have Sonic save me. None of that. Like legit, Chris is a way better character in season 3, and it only took him 6 years. So, 6 years. So that was like another major talking point, was that 6 years passed in Chris's time, where he became an 18-year-old, but only 6 months passed in Sonic's time. And don't think too hard about that, or else you're really gonna get super depressed. You're gonna get very depressed when you think about it from its logical conclusion. But Chris coming back over there was actually not bad. He went from a terrible character to a really fantastic asset / character in for season 3. And then of course I spoke about Cosmo. Cosmo is the seed character, the plant, the Gardevoir, as Ben had consistently said over and over again. She is the plant creature team player. Obviously, we're talking about spoilers here, so she ends up having that super duper awesome transformation at the end, where she sacrifices herself, and it felt so earned. I think probably one of the best setups they did was set up her relationship with Tails. Tails actually falls in love with her, and it felt organic. Didn't feel shoehorned, but it felt organic. And then they had Tails kill her, and it's like I laugh at it, but it's so sad. I wanted to cry, and I've seen those episodes over and over again many times before. It's like, that is such a tough decision to make for a love interest. Like, it's okay, Tails, I want you to shoot me. And Tails like, no, don't, I don't want to lose you. Do it, Tails. Do it, you coward. Okay. It's like
Very Android 18-esque and Krillin almost. Except Krillin actually went through and pushed the button.
No, Krillin didn't push the button. That was the thing that happened. Tails actually pushed the button. Krillin, didn't Krillin not have enough time to push the button when he did it? He did it too late, and then Cell destroyed it or something?
No, he destroyed the Switch. He had a chance to, but he threw it on the ground. He broke the whole thing, and he's like, never mind. I'm gonna find a new way. Except it didn't, and you're responsible for Perfect Cell. Anyways.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so Cosmo was a admittedly a little annoying at the very beginning, but you kind of get that, and she was played up as a double agent because Dark Oak could see through her eyes and hear what she was, hear what she's thinking too. I feel like they kind of implied that. And then of course they had 2 Super Sonic and Super Shadow fights. Very interesting how they did that. Them going Super Sonic and Super Shadow during the middle of that season really felt like they were padding things out. They could have resolved things there and then, but they didn't, which made the episodes go a little longer. And then we had the finale, which I said, Tails blowing up Cosmo to save the universe. And ending with a really funny line was like Eggman with the star shower. That was honestly really funny. It's like, hurry, take my picture. it's like that coming in after Tails blowing up his girlfriend essentially was super duper funny. Also, as Ben had pointed out, Cosmo became a giant. She became a tree. And she aged up like 20 years apparently to look like her mom. And what was the end result? Sonic got a seed from Cosmo and gave it to Tails, where Tails now just has it planted. And it's not going to be Cosmo. It will never be Cosmo. It will be the child of Cosmo, most likely. But yeah, I would say
I know child is dead.
Yeah, no, Tails will have to pay all of the child payments. Cosmo took the cheap way out and decided to let herself die. Take that, Tails. Bye. It's like, but yeah, I think the weakest thing about this. Oh, by the way, also I want to bring up, Akiza dies. Kiza dies in one of the episodes where they have that one episode where Shadow, Rouge, and Eggman go to that one planet where a bunch of not humans are fighting the forces of Dark Oak, and they just try to kill one of their people, which is the voice actress for Akiza. That fails, and then they all get turned into trees. By the way, Explodes, I want to follow up with what you showed us in that picture. That is in the actual dub. It was a later episode. They were inside those trees being sucked dry. So yeah, in the Japanese version of that episode, what's her name? Molly. That's her name. Molly. She dies, and there's a grave site right next to Shadow. But in the U.S., I guess the English dub version, they just digitally removed that grave site, and Shadow just kind of implies she's still out there, even though you never see her again. So there is that. Shadow has some really bad luck with women. I gotta say, he keeps losing them. So I think the weakest point,
Especially the female one.
exactly. I would say the weakest thing of season 3 was the motivation for Dark Oak. I think his motivation was extremely weak for starting this entire conquest. It felt very blah, 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 blah. It felt like that. It felt like, okay, they had to come up with a reason why he was evil by the time they had made it to that episode, and they didn't have a really good compelling reason why. There was a war that was happening on their planet, and something was happening, and then one guy was like, let's use the planet egg to destroy our enemies. And then the Mother Nature girl's like, no, we can't do this. We can't violate the order of things. And the guy's like, no, but we could use this for more power. I'm going to leave the planet. I'm going to use ultimate power. And then he uses ultimate power and I guess becomes evil because of it. And then they build the robot bodies. And then, yeah, it didn't make too much sense, honestly, for me. It was literally the weakest point for me in terms of the narrative. But if you look past that,
Cosmos.
come again?
So you're saying those were all Cosmos?
Yeah, Cosmos people were the reason why this arc even happened.
Hippies.
Yeah. So anyway, the season 3, amazing. I loved it. I would say watch it like 80% of it. Some of it's kind of filler. Also, that fight against Zelkova, the strongman of the Meteorix army. That's when you realize that you're not killing robots, you're killing guys piloting robots. And Knuckles just flat out kills the guy. He sends him down, Lord of the Rings status, into the lava, and the guy just dies.
No. He does it Revenge of the Sith style. He just lets the guy fall in the lava and just walks away like Obi-Wan.
Oh, okay. My bad. Oh, there you go. He confirmed the kill. Knuckles confirmed the kill. He did not just be like, Lord Frieza's going to be waiting for me. I'll just look for the body later. None of that. It's just like...
No need to double tap, Sonic. Lava's the ultimate tap.
Exactly. So I will say season 3, I love it. It's the best episode, best season, in my opinion, Sonic X. And if I were to go back to see Sonic X, I would go just to see that season and as my only real return through of the series. Anyway, I concede my time.
It's now illegal.
Well, who dare say that? Who dares say
My
that?
bad, wrong button. I was trying to find the proof, but I
it's
pressed
too
illegal
late.
by accident.
Knuckles made it illegal to watch season 3.
My bad.
Right,
Hold on. Let me convince him. Hold on.
Approved.
Okay,
There it
all
goes.
right,
There
okay, good. All right. You're on thin ice,
You better
Rabbit.
Don't worry, I got something for him so he can approve it. Don't worry.
Anyway, I concede my time. Go ahead, Ben. Tell us everything you think about this season.
Okay, well, first of all, bit of context to anyone that's going to be watching this. So, Akiza is specifically my designated waifu character from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. To anyone that follows Yu-Gi-Oh! That's the third spin-off series. It's after primary Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. 5Ds is the third one in that lineup. So, she's a partially main character in that series, and I recognize her voice actress. I remember I was actually at work hearing this, and I heard the voice, and I go, wait a minute, I know that voice. And then I saw the character, and I go, a red-headed girl with fiery attitude that's piloting a machine and helping save the world. Yeah, what else is new? I also wish to add that, a like I said, the backtracking a bit to season 2 and 1, the uncle, the speed demon racer guy, he actually voices the main character of the same Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D. So, it was nice seeing both their voices in there. And of course, anyone that has eagle ears will recognize other voice actors like Knuckles being Dan Green, because that is the Pharaoh from Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm just saying, it's hard to not see it. And they also got in some other voice actors, like when Knuckles was pounding the guy at the volcano again. Hearing that voice and hearing some other ones that I kept on hearing, Yami Bakura from, again, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, why can't these guys just get along? Why do we have to kill the guy who's both Yami Bakura and Giovanni? They're bad guys. Anyways, a little bit of a tangent. Now onto the main season. All right, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, again, I am not a well-read Sonic fan. I don't know how the games work. I've only seen like bits of gameplay and from what the SK channel has sometimes put out, and going over the soundtracks and tier lists. Check those out, by the way. But this felt something more like a proper adventure because, again, if I had to describe the other 2 seasons, season 1 was very much, it's introduction, fish out of water. It's just gathering the cast, and they kind of have adventures, and there's something of a bare bones plot. The exterminator, I guess, is the main thing at the end. But it's mostly, emeralds, new world, the cast, the crew, the robots, the antagonists, protagonists. That's kind of it. Season 2, yeah, like mentioned, it felt rushed. And if I had played the games, I would probably also say it felt very shoehorned in. And then season 3, it felt very something similar to like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, just because it's like, oh, hey, we're going to planets. We're trying to find the 7 MacGuffins in order to save the things. And yeah, when the first part of the episode is literally, oh, your Super Saiyan looking figure is literally getting one-shotted by this dude and is being proven. You basically turn the main character into a jobber, and he's being put on the couch permanently. Maybe not permanently, but that says a lot. But yeah, not only having to go around to save other planets and their planet seeds, but also trying to find the Chaos Emeralds. It led to a lot of episodes that felt like filler. And actually, I'm surprised you didn't mention the bit of highlight that we saw from that one filler episode where Cosmo seemingly ditches the team because some Metarex, I guess I remember the name, sent a message that said, oh, you may want to come here. And then
Oh, that one.
says, it's like, oh, by the way, you're not leaving. And then Chris is hurt. And for literally about a minute, if not 2, we see Sonic undergo a transformation which he has never, ever shown anywhere else, not within the show at least. He becomes essentially Dark Sonic. He's essentially Shadow, just without the highlights.
Or,
Let's pick Chaos Emerald.
Yeah, I was thinking, because it didn't actually explain it in the English version of the show, but I would assume because of the fake Chaos Emeralds that the Metarex can apparently make ad infinitum. Infinitum? I don't know Latin. It's all Greek to me. The amount of Chaos Emeralds that they make that are fake, but that they can apparently use, because later on Shadow uses a fake Chaos Emerald to teleport, because he can do that with a normal Chaos Emerald. I guess Sonic just tapped into the fake emeralds and just became dark for a moment. And then Eggman, again, for some reason, being the most real G here, manages to talk no Jitsu Sonic, being evil, out of being evil. Then he proceeds to give a lecture to the guy sitting in the chair whose name is Narcissus, ironic, saying it's like, look here, I have standards when it comes to being evil, and this is not cool, my bro. This is no bueno.
Funny you bring that up. That line from Eggman is actually probably one of the most criticized lines for Eggman's. Like, it's one thing to kidnap them, but to hurt them, that's going too far. I remember hearing that being very criticized on Eggman's character, where people are like, "Oh yeah, that's very hypocritical, Eggman, coming from you."
No, because honestly, I think of Futurama, where Professor Farnsworth is saying, "Oh, people are always in favor of saving Hitler's brain, but then you want to put it in the body of a great white shark, and suddenly, oh no, you've gone too far." It's the ridiculousness of it. It's the fact that, wait, are you actually taking this villain seriously on his villainous rants? Because he's talking about villainy and such. It's like Doofenshmirtz saying, look, there's a certain way we have to do this. I have my evil plan. You break in. We have a little talk. I show you my Innator machine. And you break it. Then we do this next thing next week, when the villain breaks down how their villainous elements work like that, especially when they know they're episodic and self-reflective, if anyone can find criticism in doing that, it's like you're talking about an episodic show here. He's essentially being beyond meta, and it's actually him owning it rather than just looking at the fourth wall and saying, look, here's how it is, writers. And one thing I did want to say is that at the very end, just kind of skipping that before I get to everything else, he's actually there telling Tails, look, it's what she wants. You have to do this. Again, Eggman being the voice of reason in clutch at the end of a near apocalyptic event here. It's like, he may be a bad guy, but he's not a bad guy, you know?
You would
You
shoot
can
you.
say bad guy. And yeah, Shadow being introduced. So the whole point of season 2 is saying, oh, by the way, since the Sonic and friends came from another universe, despite Eggman being a human who was apparently, had origins on this planet, them breaking through that wormhole will put a strain on it. I guess there's just a certain body count capacity because both Shadow and Chris are technically from the normal Earth dimension, but yet they can go to that section and kind of stay there. And yeah, near the end, as another spoiler, before the whole meteor shower thing, Shadow pushes Sonic way out of the way before, in his super form, he takes off his inhibitor rings and proceeds to teleport the soon-to-be exploding thing. I'll call it the Ghidorah planet thing.
Shadow dies.
Because the three-headed dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently Shadow dies, but Eggman is skeptical going, nah, he's the greatest creation of my grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. I have a feeling he's out there. Yeah, out of everyone else, Robotnik having hope that something survived is saying something else. Because no one else actually expresses this, which means I guess it's just say, yeah, F you, Shadow, you've caused us enough trouble as much as you helped. So yeah, Robotnik was a joy. I found it, to be fair, early on in the season, I almost had a prediction. It's like, wait, if they're all robots and Eggman's all about robots, shouldn't he be helping them? But then later on, there are a few episodes where it's like, oh yes, he did. Until it's kind of found out that he was kind of going to be betraying them either way. And so it's just like, wait, did you really expect an evil scientist like me to not betray you? Oh, you must be new at this. To have Eggman almost pull a fast one on the main enemy there. And now to get to that plant. And to get to that, we'll get to the plant, lady. We'll get to the Gardevoir, the Rosalia, the other named plant Pokemon that can match, Cosmo. Cosmo is very interesting as a character. She's almost like in the same line as like Amy and Cream and just kind of being a sideline character, but she is very important until the twist that, oh, she apparently is a spy and they've been seeing everything through her eyes and ears. There was a moment for a filler episode that was quite touching where they considered essentially lobotomizing her, making her lose her sight and sound, ability to hear, that is. And everyone's just like, but that's horrible. It's like, she'd still be alive. She's not cutting down her brain function. Besides, can't they grow it back? And let's not get into the physics of the fact that everyone except the humans can breathe in space. I don't know what physics there are in the Sonicverse, but apparently there's enough air pockets. I guess Vegeta just blew up enough planets in that universe to allow the air pockets, to allow the furry ones to allow enough air. But lung capacity of a human child and an elderly, I want to say 50-year-old mad scientist? Nope, none for you, sir. Too much brain power. Now, let's see. Oh, okay. I never felt sorry for the little Bokoon robot character until this season, because there is a literal arc where the reason why Rouge hangs around with Eggman and his crew is because she is blackmailing this poor child robot with an unseen locket that apparently has a picture of Cream, and it's not the English version, I was informed. It has a picture of Cream, implying this little guy has a crush on the sweetest rabbit character ever. And she blackmails this poor robot so many times, and this robot is crying all the time while this essentially adult woman is bullying him, a child. Yeah, no, it's just, you hate to see it, or you love to see it, I guess, you freaks. Anyways, that was a bit of a tangent from the plant people. Now, the plant people. Yes, I initially thought the Metarex were just essentially like a droid army. It's like, oh no, evil robots. They want to conquer the universe, end all life, death to meatbags, kill all humans. bite my shiny metal armies. You know, benders, essentially.
Mhm.
Until, yeah, we find out that it's not just the one-time guy that was piloting a mech suit that got Anakin Skywalker into a lava pit, but it turns out that, yeah, they were, again, that whole origin episode where it's like, oh, by the way, here's our past, an expositional flashback. I don't know who they were fighting. I thought they were fighting the Metarex, and then they just joined them for some reason. Very, very unclear.
Yeah, you could see why I thought it was
Pardon,
a very weak motivation from the male plant people.
I mean, I did like that the station, the dichotomy that there was between the males and females, although it's less like how anime would do it. It's like, oh, by the way, they're human-looking females with some plant-like qualities, and then the males are just straight up like bushes and ferns. It's like, no, nothing like that. Very interesting. Very interesting designs, although they look like walking salamanders with horns. But their transformation sequence essentially make them out to be almost like Saiyans. They're like, wait, Planet Plant became Planet Vegeta. Ooh, reference. Anyways, yeah, they become giant versions of themselves. They become Godzillas, which I thought was cool, but we didn't see enough of. So yeah, some of them put on suits and apparently were the last of the plant people to have survived because, you know, they pulled a Superman and harvest the planet's core, which, you know, turns out destroys your planet. Who would have fucking thought?
Yeah,
And yeah, it turns out the main big bad is a plant man. He's a plant.
you plant.
And it turns out they, oh, yeah, by the way, Rouge's line of saying, oh, she's a plant in more ways than you know, sweetie. To be
What?
fair, Eggman was with the enemy, so yeah, he would have easily had figured that out, and he would have been like, oh, they need to know, or better yet, we just need to get rid of her. Yeah, Eggman just telling Shadow this, and Shadow just came to the conclusion, I have to kill a female. Did somebody say dead female?
Tails was being a really big Chad, facing off against Shadow the way he was.
You mean
Yeah.
handled twice?
Yeah, at one point in the episode, it's like, oh, Tails built this ship. He knows how to navigate away from Shadow. Oh no, it's a dead end. I'm like, you were saying? Only to realize Tails pulled a fast one on the audience and Shadow and shot him out through a cannon, which amounted to nothing because, as mentioned earlier, he used a fake Chaos Emerald to teleport back. It's like, oh, right, you can teleport.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Sonic can do it. So
Okay, I do remember one filler episode. It kind of begins where Sonic goes flying off into space and Knuckles has to go after him with a lifeline. But then they pursue on a ship chase. I think that's the episode where the crocodile guy and his crew come in because they chase after them to say, oh, hey, we're sorry, by the way. This entire time, Knuckles and Sonic are just floating through space on a lifeline, and somehow it doesn't affect that, despite the fact the ship visibly moved. As far as filler goes, it's like, this is so far out there. This is suspending so much disbelief it can hold the Brooklyn Bridge.
Probably the most stupidest episode that there was in that season. Just primarily on. You really have to turn your brain off to enjoy that one.
And speaking of turning off brains, not to mention all the censors, because as mentioned, yes, there's a lot of death. In that episode where the voice actress for Akiza was mentioned in, yeah, apparently there's a scene where there's a whole graveyard that's supposed to be in front of one of the last shots of the show with Shadow and Rouge, but it is censored in the Western version because, you know, we can't have death, and this ain't Yu-Gi-Oh!, so we can't Shadow Realm them. But the final...
they had to hide.
Well, yeah, the final line we have from her is that she is apparently taking a last stand, but it's implied that, oh no, she survived somehow because she's doing a kamikaze. And as we all know, kamikazes never end badly. Because no one in the Western cultures know what that word means. I mean, it doesn't mean suicide run. It just... Anywho, not taking the Japanese lesson. So, plant people. Yes, I kept on referring to Cosmo as a Gardevoir until near the end when another member who is not quite here says, I don't know, she looks more like a Roselia than anything else because she's actually a plant, not just green and, you know, flowy. To be fair, I go, yeah, you're right. I'm still going to say Gardevoir just because everyone and their dog knows what a Gardevoir is nowadays for reasons.
Pinky.
I hope it intensifies.
Oh yeah, speaking of kinky, we're not going to talk about Rouge's ship. Not here. But if you want to show the thumbnail at some point, editor, then by all means, you can show them the thumbnail, and you can have a
No,
link based on where it
that
goes to.
is funny. The Rouge's boob ship. That was that had to have been extremely intentional.
We can't call it the cockpit. We can call it the cleavage pit. There's no other way to put it. She bought the anime waifu mousepad edition for her dashboard. Essentially, it's just children's shows. I
That
swear
one
sometimes.
frame, dude, it just made it seem like her boobs were just trapped inside the ship.
The
Just-
airbag's deployed early, you freaks.
it definitely looks that bad.
Oh yeah, that's the real booby trap. It's the ship. It is a booby trap. A booby trap that catches boobies. Thanks, Optimus. The whole reason for the Metarex doing that, what they became, it's like, okay, so you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I do kind of understand a bit of the mentality. I'm not arguing too much against you because I'm contrarian, but it's the fact that, oh, we're under attack. The only way to do this is by gaining power. It's literally the victim gaining power and then becoming the aggressor. And it does so in such a really, really bad way. And I won't name any real world examples because politically hot topic, I suppose. But it does seem realistic. However, their plan at the end to essentially cleanse the galaxy of all life and then reseed it all with just plants, it made me think of Poison Ivy from the Batman franchise. It's like, oh, so they're not just robots trying to kill all meat shields, they're trying to be a full eco-terrorist here. We're pulling a Thanos, essentially.
Well,
And
not
hey,
even
that
not
one also
even.
had multicolored MacGuffins too.
You know, now that you bring that up, it's I question: was Earth at all gonna be in trouble? Was Earth
Which
gonna
Earth?
Chris's planet?
No, that was
Well-
in another dimension.
Yeah. That's in another dimension. Okay. So they do beat him, and wonderful battle. It had a very interesting back and forth. It's like, oh no, they have all the power. Okay, we got the power back. We shoot it again. Oh no, we're out of power. They have the power again. What do we have? Some of the moments were like, okay, you could have just kind of cut that out. And yeah, she goes through Cosmo goes through her final evolution to finally become the mega version of herself. No, not story version. I'm just saying she got bigger. Then she became a tree. And yeah, honestly, what you didn't mention from that ending was the music. That piano bit, the way the music was. Okay, I don't know how many studios you had to have burned down to make that soundtrack, but my goodness, you cooked a hole through that place. As much as the dialogue was heavy, that music just somehow made it everything cranked up beyond 20. It's like, wow. And then at the end, despite the fact it's like, oh, by the way, that ended, then we had a nice little resolution. Knuckles is there guarding his pile of rocks because of chaos. The major Master Emerald broke. But, he's got to have his rocks because Echidna's got an Echidna. But finally, at the end, and randomly, Eggman just says, oh, by the way, I made a ship that can take you home, but you've only got a small window to take it home. And it's like, okay, so no long drawn out goodbyes. Which I kind of sighed a relief at, but I'm like, oh, that's going to actually make this far more heartbreaking than season 2 ending. Because he never actively says goodbye. In fact, the only thing we get is him basically simulating the voices of the other characters in his head because he knows them so well. And they'll be like, oh, well, maybe he didn't have a chance and he just really, really wanted to go home. We can't let him think otherwise. Although Sonic does kind of get a final say because apparently Sonic just has a spidey sense or a hedgehog sense of how the plot's working, so he just knew Chris was taken off. But we never see if he actually gets home. Or any of the other things that Eggman brought up, such as, oh, by the way, since you de-aged by 6 years and since the whole time nonsense is happening, does that mean that by the time Chris has gone back, I'm assuming this has been weeks and not months, that means essentially maybe Chris has lost maybe an entire year, if not a handful, but no less than 6, which means, oh boy, does that mean his body's like going to re-age all at once? Because he doesn't mention any pain about de-aging. I can't imagine what it's like going through puberty again because he's preteen at that age. It's like, oh boy, I hope he doesn't feel any of that. That is going to hurt my dude.
Oh, think about his
age that-
girlfriend. Think about it.
So would he be age that he did that he missed? Would he be younger than his wife?
Kinky. Look. People can like an older woman. They're more developed, more mature.
I personally don't
Anyways,
like that, but go for it. That's my
Anyways,
taste.
to wrap it up, I promised I wouldn't monopolize a whole bunch of this, but wow, season 3, yes, is my favorite. And I didn't necessarily rate season 2, but I did like the action. The stakes were higher, and the addition of Shadow makes it number 2. But season 3 is easily number 1 for me. I know it seems like it seems like it's easy, but clearly someone that wishes to be more critical and is a far more truer fan of Sonic will say that seasons 1 and 2 should obviously be switched up. But season 3 definitely felt more proper, less fish out of water, and less crazy shenanigans on Earth, and lots of weird filler tournament arc stuff. And it felt like a proper action adventure sci-fi low-key horror stuff, but it had enough of it to make it feel like it's like, now see, this feels like a proper Sonic
The
game. This feels
seed
like something that
heartbeat.
Sonic would be adept into.
The heartbeat
Anyways.
seed. The heartbeat seed. That's
Oh yeah. They defeat the dragons, and it goes through one of its transformations, because apparently it's also part Frieza, and it turns into a giant seed that beats like a heart. That also sucks out the energy from everyone else for a short while. Don't worry, they get better. Barely an inconvenience. Anywho, that part for me, it's like, okay, a living heart that's somehow beating in the depths of space that you can hear is low-key eldritch horror Lovecraftian nonsense. It's like, ugh, okay, that gave me low-key shudders, and I'm shared by the host of this channel in saying, nope, that is nightmare fuel if thought about too long. And with that, I think I've said enough of my piece.
Explodes.
I breathe.
Let's see here. I didn't really see really much of anything. I think I saw like 3 episodes, and one of them was the unfortunate event of, Team Chaotix trying to kidnap Cream.
Oh, that one, yeah.
But the other episodes were really good. I think one of them was the ending, though, so I was kind of confused.
Shadow dies again.
No, like, what's going on? Why is there hearts between Sonic and Amy? That's never explained, though.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens with a lot of
Actually-
anime.
I think there's actually a sub-only dialogue that has Vanilla actually say to Vector that she has experience. Wink, wink.
Oh. Oh, okay. All right.
Other than that, I'm not going to be able to add much to the conversation.
Well, okay then. Well, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for here. Sonic X is, in terms of like a Sonic media, probably gonna be. Now that I've seen it all, it's probably gonna now remain just as like one of the best Sonic cartoons of all time. I will, unless my mind has changed when we go back to the '90s. The way I typically structure my favorite Sonic stuff is was it Sonic the Hedgehog is number 1. Sonic Boom is underneath that. Sonic X below that, and below that is the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. And then there's a couple, several hundred thousands worth of empty spaces later. Below that is Sonic Underground. So
There is no bad Sonic cartoon. Oh, what about Sonic Underground? There is no bad Sonic cartoon that exists.
I told you.
Not even
it
Sonic
never
and the
happened.
Werehog.
It never happened. It's like, yeah, that was an unfortunate show, but I'm never gonna show Ben that show. He would have to bleach his eyes afterwards. But anyway, everybody, thank you guys for listening to
might
us.
improve my sight.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time when we inevitably watch another and finish another in the next video. Till then, everybody, take care and have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye.